Welcome to DJ Chester channel. This is Chester. We care about the Black Lives Matter movement. And as a minority of Asian American, I'm afraid I don't fully understand how African American feels about this movement. So I've invited a good friend of mine in LA. Ladies and gentlemen, Theo!
Hey guys, just here to help convey the message, I guess, from another perspective for those who don't understand, to have some kind of insight.
Hey man, are you doing all right with the curfew? I'm pretty sure you're home, but have you noticed anything out of ordinary during the curfew in your neighborhood? Like any choppers flying by?
Not in my neighborhood per se, but I live close to LAX, so I'm always hearing like planes go by. Nothing out of the ordinary. I did hear people letting off fireworks, which I thought was a little bit weird, but hey.
Me too, actually, me too. I always hear fireworks.
If they want to let off fireworks as a way to, I don't know, release some of the stress, then by all means, go ahead. Well, I don't know. They could be doing it for protest too. I don't know.
Does fear ever come to you at this times?
For me, no. Some people legitimately feel fear. Not necessarily walking down the street per se, but in different situations, which, yeah, it could involve walking down the street. It could involve just driving your cars to, wherever they're going. And that's where the fear stands, because it comes from a place of where, like, hey, anything could happen,
You have to stay alert all the time.
Exactly. And because you are being perceived in a particular way that someone else may not be. So that's where the fear comes from.
What do you think about the protest?
I feel like the protest is a necessary evil, because with the protest, it creates a conversational piece for people, for regular people, but also people within authority to understand that what is going on is unacceptable and it's wrong and it's immoral. The protest is necessary to bring light to these issues, to say that, hey, here's a situation that everyone would look at objectively and say it is wrong. But somehow in these particular situations, with the combination of people that are in them, the result seems to be very different.
I think most of us support the peaceful protest, but not the violence.
Sure, and we don't really know who exactly is doing those violent acts. What I would say is that you can't use an instance or maybe a group of people and blanket the entire people who are protesting and say that they're the one carrying out the violence, because we don't know. Look at how much people that's out there across the country protesting. There's probably millions of people, right?
A lot of people.
So you can't say, imagine. So think about that. So if there's a million people out there, just say a million people out there protesting, and all of those people are committing crime, then we have a lot much bigger issue on our hands, which is not the case. So as a result, you can't say all the protesters out there are creating destruction and violence.
Have you been in any uncomfortable situation in America? I know you have lived in a few cities from East Coast to West Coast, like New York, Chicago, and now LA, where the vibes vary. Every city is different.
Yes, every city is different. In my personal situation, I have never been in a situation where I ultimately feel a fear for my life, or feel that I was being treated
disrespectful.
I feel like I was being treated disrespectful, or in a manner that I'll be like, hey, this is blatantly racism. But even though I've not been treated that way, it doesn't I'm not going to dismiss someone else's story of the fact that they were right. I've been blessed in many different ways than one. And that is one case where I've not been a victim of this conversation that's going on. But that is not an excuse to dismiss someone else's story. So what I try to do is to learn from other people's story.
What do you think we can do to make it better in this Black Lives Matter movement?
I think that when it comes to what we could do to make it better, it depends on what level we're talking about. Because on an individual level, in my opinion, the best we could do is try to have that conversation and, try and convey different perspective to our peers. So we as a group, as a community, could understand where the other parties come from. But ultimately, I feel the decision needs to come from the people further up above in authority, so that they could help to hold these people who have blatantly discriminate against other people, or put other people in a very uncomfortable position that they have consequences against your actions. An example of this would be like someone calling the police on a person of color to say, hey, they're in this neighborhood or they're doing something that they're quote unquote not supposed to, when that's sometimes not the case, you know? So that's a false statement, and that person should be held accountable. So I feel like what needs to be done is accountability needs to be at the forefront of what we should do moving forward.
That's true. Just like last week or 2 weeks ago, there's a woman in Central Park. She wasn't leashing her dog, and there's an African American come up and, hey, go leash your dog. And then she suddenly got mad. She called the police, and eventually she lost her job.
What she did was, not only did she call the cops, but she made a false accusation to say, I'm going to tell the cops, meaning she's talking to the guy. She's saying, I'm going to tell the cops that you are threatening my life and my dog's life, when clearly that's not the case.
Yeah.
So not only did you call the cops on an innocent person who's not doing anything, you're making a false accusation to say that that person's threatening your life. And we have all of this on camera, right? So yes, unfortunately, you know, because of her action, she lost her job, and her dog was actually taken away from her, from what I understand. At least she surrendered her dog. I don't know what the stipulation is in regards to that. But in my opinion, I feel like she should be held somewhat more responsible for that, because she's making a false accusation. Because the example I read in the article was, imagine when you're at home and your mom gets upset with you and she says, hey, wait until your dad comes. What does that mean? It means that you're going to get in trouble, or your dad is probably going to hit you, or your dad is probably going to punish you in some way when your dad shows up. So that's basically what she did. It was like, hey, if you don't leave me alone, I'm going to call the cops and I'm going to tell them that you're threatening me. So what does that mean? That means there might be some ramification for him. So she knew what she was doing. And in a case like that, she should be held responsible for actions. Losing her job is just one way that her company took action against her, but from the legal perspective, none was taken as of yet. And that's what holds us together as like a community, as a society, is knowing the legal ramification of our actions. And if there's no legal ramification of our actions, then life goes on. It's not a big deal. Okay, so what, I lied. So what if I harass this person? There's no legal ramification. I'm not going to go to jail. I'm not going to pay a fine. Then who cares? Life goes on, at least for that person. But you just destroyed or affected someone else's life in a negative way. As I said, and this is why like the whole protest thing is happening, because there's been a lack of legal ramifications. Example with the guy who was jogging, who got shot, the guy who was arrested and the officer with his knee in his neck. If it wasn't for a public outcry, there would be any legal ramification. These guys and former police officers, they wouldn't have been arrested. And that's the idea behind the protest, is to say, hey, we can objectively look at these things and say they're wrong, right? So why is the legal system delaying action? If we didn't cry out as a public, would they have just like, oh, life goes on, it's fine? And that's why there's this notion of Black Lives Matter, saying that, are you saying that you're valuing this guy's life less than someone else's? Because then if that's not the case, then there should be some legal ramification, because that's the purpose of them.
I think in our society, in our country, what we need the most right now, probably peace and love.
I completely agree, because I agree, different people want to show love in different ways. But if we all love each other in whichever way you want to, and we respect each other to some degree, then a lot of these things wouldn't happen, right? You're just in the case in Minnesota, you arrest the guy, okay, whatever. You put him in the back. You have some dignity for the guy. You have some respect for him. Put him in the back of the car. Like, there's no reason for you to have him on the floor for that long period of time. Like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? It makes no sense to me or to you.
No sense at all.
No sense at all. So again, going back to love and respect, if we all do that to each other, we wouldn't be in the situation that we're in, and we probably have a better society and world.
I want to let you know that as an Asian American, I fully support the Black Lives Matter movement and really hope that our action can bring equality to light. while we are still breathing. Yeah, if you like this video, please subscribe to my channel and turn on the notification bell. Please comment below if you have any question. Remember to like and share this video too. Thank you, Theo, for being here today. Hope I will see you in person very soon. Bye bye.
All right, see you, Chester.
Mm-hmm.